My world shattered. Again. News of Dohyuk's disappearance spread like wildfire, whispers twisting the truth into 1,000 painful possibilities. Had he been taken? Had he chosen to leave? The uncertainty gnawed at me, each passing moment a hammer blow to my already fractured heart. He was strong, capable, but even the strongest could fall. Fear, a cold and insidious serpent, coiled in my gut, squeezing the hope from my lungs.
Meanwhile, Dohyuk found himself thrust into a chaotic whirlwind of the unknown. Gone was the familiar, if unsettling, landscape of Seoul. In its place, a sprawling jungle choked with emerald vines and pulsating with unseen life. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of decaying vegetation and the musk of something profoundly ancient.
I was alone, stripped of everything familiar, forced to confront the terrifying reality of our situation. Survival was no longer a concept, it was a primal need, a constant gnawing hunger.
He pushed forward, driven by instinct and the faint hope of finding some trace of his friends, some clue to the madness that had swallowed their world. The jungle whispered around him, a chorus of rustling leaves and chittering insects, a symphony of nature both beautiful and menacing. He knew with a certainty that chilled him to the bone that he was no longer at the top of the food chain. He was prey. The transition was brutal. One moment, Dohyuk had been navigating the crowded streets of Seoul. The next he was thrown into the heart of some primeval wilderness. Towering trees, their trunks thicker than cars, clawed at the sky, their canopies so dense they blotted out the sun. The air buzzed with insects, their droning a constant reminder of the alien world he now inhabited.
The ground beneath my feet was a treacherous carpet of rotting vegetation, slick with moisture and teeming with unseen life. Every step was a gamble, every rustle of leaves a potential threat. Fear, a primal instinct I had long suppressed, clawed at the edges of my composure. I had faced down monsters in Seoul, fought tooth and nail for survival, but this was different. This was a world untouched by human hands, a place where nature reigned supreme and man was just another animal fighting for its place.
He wasn't alone, not entirely. He could feel eyes on him, watching, evaluating. The jungle held its breath, a predator sizing up its prey. He had to move, had to find some semblance of safety, some advantage in this green hell. His survival, he realized with chilling clarity, depended on it. As Dohyuk ventured deeper into the emerald abyss, he began to notice them. At first, they were just fleeting glimpses, flashes of movement in the periphery of his vision.
But as the days bled into nights, they grew bolder, their appearances more frequent, more unnerving.
They were vaguely humanoid in shape, their forms elongated and skeletal, their limbs impossibly thin. Their skin, if it could be called that, was a sickly pale green stretched taut over jutting bones. But it was their wings that truly set them apart. Vast, membranous structures, they stretched from their backs like grotesque parodies of avian grace. The wings pulsed with a sickly yellow light, casting flickering shadows that danced and writhed across the jungle floor.
He had heard whispers, rumors of angels descending upon the earth, but nothing could have prepared him for the grotesque reality of their existence. They were not the benevolent beings of Scripture, but something far older, far more unsettling.
They moved with an eerie silence, gliding through the undergrowth as if they were extensions of the jungle itself. Their eyes, huge and black, followed his every move, their gazes filled with a cold, predatory intelligence. He was being watched, hunted, and the knowledge sent a shiver down his spine. The arrival of the goblets was heralded by a cacophony of roars and the sickening crunch of bone on stone. Dohyuk, perched precariously on a rocky outcrop, watched in horrified fascination as the creatures lumbered into the clearing below.
They were massive, their bodies a grotesque amalgamation of reptilian scales, chitinous plates, and razor-sharp claws. Their eyes, burning with a malevolent crimson light, scanned the jungle floor, searching for prey.
The humans, those few unfortunate souls who had survived the initial transition, scattered like ants before a storm. They were armed with a hodgepodge of makeshift weapons, but against the goblets they were hopelessly outmatched. Screams, sharp and sudden, pierced the air as the creatures fell upon their prey, their jaws snapping shut with bone-shattering force.
Dohyuk felt a surge of pity for the doomed humans, but there was nothing he could do, not without risking his own life.
And then, as quickly as it had begun, the carnage ended. The goblets, their hunger sated, lumbered back into the jungle, leaving behind a trail of blood and broken bodies. The silence that descended was heavier, more oppressive than the cacophony of battle.
In the aftermath, Dohyuk saw an opportunity. The enemy of his enemy, as the old saying went, was his friend. And for the moment at least, the goblets were the greatest threat in this strange, terrifying new world.